Hello and welcome to episode 23 of Entertainment of Excellence, the podcast where we talk about films, TV, all of it. Hi, I'm Ollie.
I'm Thom.
And I'm Ben.
And today we're going to be talking about the 2019 film, The Two Popes. This will contain spoilers.
Right, okay, so I've got to do a plot summary. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so The Two Popes follows not two popes at the start, thank you very much. It follows Pope Benedict the 16th and Jorge Bergoglio. I can't remember how you say his name. Jorge. Yeah, it's Pope Francis.
Bergoglio.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Pope Francis. But not yet. Basically, Jorge Bergoglio, that might be it. He's saying that he wants to resign as a cardinal, and Pope Benedict is like, "Don't do that." And then it turns out Pope Benedict wants to resign as Pope, and Pope Francis is like, "No, don't do that." And then Pope Benedict does resign, and then Pope Francis becomes Pope. Wow, that's an easy plot.
Well,
Yeah.
That's it. Done.
There's
I mean,
also
there's
quite a long
flashbacks.
sequence of flashbacks.
Yeah. There's flashbacks, so you get to see Pope Francis's past through the Argentina. I think it's called the Dirty War. I think that's what it was called. And he kind of appealed to the military that had got seized power at the time because he was trying to protect his priests, but a lot of people didn't like that, and you know, saying he felt guilty, and like two of his priests were captured and tortured for months. So that is also part of it.
yeah.
Also, he likes football
And pizza.
and Pope Benedict likes Commissar Rex. I want to check what the war is.
Very professional.
Was it the no list of wars involving Argentina? I don't know if it was a war. It wasn't really a war though.
Just like
We'll just leave it.
Power by a dictatorship, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Dirty
Against
War. Yes, it was. It was the Dirty War. Cool. Yeah, the military, civic military dictatorship. Cool.
So, a few episodes ago, we'd kind of like sort of stopped doing like frequently asked questions at the start because there weren't like any good ones. But I found you remember how they were always how accurate is it and where was it? Not where was it filmed. It was how accurate is it? And
is there going to be a sequel?
yeah. Well, I don't think there's going to be a sequel. And as for how accurate it is apparently based on true events, obviously, but there's no way. It says here you literally have to be a fly on the wall in the Vatican to truly capture the conversations. So
I think even the writer said it's mostly speculation.
Yeah, they used
kind of
speeches,
Anthony McCarten,
interviews, and writings to like try and base it in reality.
So some of them are very accurate, like when Pope Francis is, what do you call it when he becomes Pope? When someone becomes Pope? I don't know. When he becomes the Pope, the events that he does to the crowd and what he wears is very accurate because they have the information. But the rest of it is kind of guessing. So some people say that their relationship between Pope Benedict and Francis is shown to be a bit more amicable than it actually was.
Yeah.
Because Pope Benedict's kind of said a few things that weren't directly against Pope Francis, but kind of like he blames the clergy sex abuse scandal on some dangerously liberal theological ideas. That's in quotes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I thought it was a bit weird because at the start, Benedict seemed to more against like Francis' ideology, and whatever, but then he sort of had this sudden change where he was originally saying that he only wanted to resign if he knew that the power wouldn't go to Francis, but then he suddenly has this change and
Yeah.
sort of
Well, he
out of
says
the
it's like a
blue,
sign
almost.
from God, so
Yeah,
it basically
I
is
think
out of the blue. I mean, for high, obviously, I would assume the Pope is highly religious, so it's probably okay to
Guess
have
yeah,
that
there is that.
kind of come out the
It's like,
blue.
it's like the thing about
the candles.
the mirror, yeah, and also the fact that he'd already uh he was going to come on the plane anyway,
Yeah,
even before he heard about the meeting. But there's a
Yeah.
few times like that, like when Francis is explaining his past and how why he decided to become uh, a priest, also seems a bit unclear. Like there's the whole thing about him going to confession, but they sort of don't really explicitly reveal the factor that really made it click for him. There's a few times like that where it's not entirely clear.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess to a degree it could be considered like the fact that God's signs aren't always clear, and so rather than really making it very clear, the film is choosing a more ambiguous route. But
Yeah.
it gets a little bit annoying sometimes. So I don't know whether I'd say that's really a criticism, but it's definitely something I didn't personally like so much.
What was that? Sorry.
Yeah.
The fact that some of the stuff in the film isn't like made really clear; it's left more ambiguously. For example, why he actually became a priest in the end.
Yeah, I don't know if I zoned out during that.
I mean, I
It
thought
felt
I
like
did.
something had happened that I'd missed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I felt. I felt if I'd like zoned out or something, when in reality it just didn't make it clear.
Oh, have you looked and it just isn't clear?
Well, you rewinded the scene when we were watching it.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you did.
I'm so I'm so out of it.
You're just
It's
really,
wild.
Well, yeah,
really
I think it
sleepy.
is meant to be like that providence and the whole thing about highly religious. So a lot of it is sort of designed to be inexplicable, but again, it doesn't really help in terms of the plot. Something else that I wasn't a huge fan of. It wasn't that detrimental, but sometimes I just felt that the tone was a little bit inconsistent. You'd have
Yeah,
times where it would be more comedic, and other times it would be quite somber, and it just felt like it flipped from comedy and drama, and
yeah. I
it
think
didn't always work for me.
it was mainly a drama film. But it did like slip into comedy with some of the dialogue between like Francis and Benedict, especially like I don't know when they were discussing like about Abbey Road, and he was saying, "Oh, it's the where the Beatles recorded. It's like a church." And he goes, "Abbey Road." It's like, no, I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
Mm, I mean, it wasn't as much as a problem for me, but maybe that's just me. I do watch a lot of like dramas that slip into comedy or just straight up comedy dramas, so
I
I
just
don't
thought
know
it
if
was weird that the scene with like the piano just
Yeah,
felt a bit sort of light, but immediately after that, there was like a 20-minute flashback sequence of corruption and oppression, and it just felt like it was a bit jarring.
yeah, like
But I can see if it if you didn't feel that as much.
Yeah, I think that's probably more of a personal thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I also this is probably like quite an unfair criticism, but I noticed there were quite a few. This is on the technical side, by the way. There were a few shots where it kind of like awkwardly zoomed in, and it was very reminiscent of The Office.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah,
you
I was
notice
thinking
that?
exactly that. I was
Yeah.
thinking this looks like an episode of The Office.
Yeah, like those awkward like zoom ins with a handheld camera.
Yeah.
That was something that I was going to critique it on.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
glad
know why
I
they
wasn't
did
the only
that.
one that felt that way.
Because there was some
It
like
was
great
weird.
shots of them sat in front of the house,
Yeah.
you know, and the like really wide shots of them and stuff like that, and then it would just sometimes like they'd turn their head and there'd be the dramatic zoom.
Yeah, that's the one, the dramatic zoom.
There was one scene in the garden where it was like a really close-up shot where it kept on flipping between both of them. And also noticed at that time there wasn't actually any music, but sort of the ambience and in particular the sound of the birds was sort of used quite effectively to make it more intense. But then there was other scenes where, as you say, there was just like documentary style zoom ins on them. It was
Yeah.
really strange.
Hmm.
I guess that sort of embraces the fact that, well, it's like private conversations, and maybe it's representing the fact that the camera's not really supposed to be there, but maybe I'm just thinking too deep
Well,
into
but
it.
if
I
it's a
just-
documentary, that it drew attention to the camera for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have thought.
Like, it works in The Office because it's supposed to remind you, like, these people know they're being filmed.
Yeah.
You know, the
Yeah.
cameras are always present. But when there's a sudden, like, zoom in, you remember, you just go, oh yeah, this is a film and it's not real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also if you were going to use that style, wouldn't you use it for the whole film rather than having like, I don't know, 75% of it being just really good film shots,
Mm.
you know, and then just a few ones that stand out as like weird office style documentary
Yeah.
camera shots.
Mm.
Maybe we're just being a bit harsh on this film.
Yeah, I was going to say, shall we move
We've
on
got
to
a
stuff
lot
that
of
we liked? Because I did actually
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
quite a lot of it. I mean, obviously, Jordan Price and Anthony Hopkins were really good in it. Anthony Hopkins, ironically famous for being Hannibal, a very different
Yeah.
character to the Pope. Jordan Price, I knew from Brazil, but that's not like his top listing on IMDb, so maybe I'm just a bit weird. I think he's played a lot of villains before, actually.
What was his top listing on IMDb?
He's been in Bond.
Ooh.
Sorry, I've just got Commissar Rex up on IMDb because I was interested. That's Pope Benedict's favorite thingy.
Is it a
TV
rip-off
show.
of
I can't-
Scooby-Doo?
Is maybe. No, it's not. It's actual. I'm pretty sure it's
An actual
like, just an actual detective show.
Yeah, but
But
is the actual
it is
detective
Austrian.
show a rip-off of Scooby-Doo?
A recently divorced cop adopts a police dog who lost his former companion, and together they solve crimes in and around Vienna. I don't know. Jonathan
be an
Price. Did I
upcoming
say Jordan
episode.
Price? I think I said Jordan Price.
You
Sorry,
did.
Jonathan. It's Jonathan Price.
Yeah, the
He's
acting
best
was
known for The
pretty
Two Popes. Tomorrow Never Dies, he is Elliot Carver. So there you go.
Wow,
He's been in a few other things.
cool
He's been in
stuff.
120 other things.
That's quite a few other things.
Yeah, it is. So they were both great in it. I do love Jonathan Price and Anthony Hopkins. I also think the script writing was good. I think even if you think the tone flip-flops a bit, I think the comedic lines were funny. I mean, there might be like one or two lines that didn't land for me, but I thought it was good. And the conversations, you know, and the heated. Oh, well, they never really got heated because I guess it's, you know, they're trying to be quite pious, but the conflicting conversations that the two of them have are really good, and you know they both have greater lines for it and symbolism and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
I very much. I didn't mind the comedic stuff, and I didn't mind the other stuff. I think they both worked very well in their own ways. I think it was just stitching them together that was the problem, because like I
Yeah.
genuinely enjoyed the scene with the piano and sort of how Benedict's being a bit of a boomer, and
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I found myself liking his character a lot more after that scene.
Yeah, I mean, he took more of like a conservative approach, but at the same time, there was the thing about him eating his meals by himself, and he's like sitting there watching telly, drinking Fanta.
Yeah.
That must have been product
He's-
placement. That did annoy
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Uh, yeah.
Let's review the product placement. What do you think of Fanta?
What do I think of Fanta? I think that Tango is the better orange drink. Oh, the
Blasphemy.
Fanta! The Fanta is real. Pope Benedict does actually like Fanta. Oh no.
That's the
Maybe it
best
is more truthful than we thought.
Maybe it wasn't product placement. Well, I mean,
Or at least it wasn't Tango, you disgusting cretin.
Tango is better.
No,
There is
go
no-
away. Be
Fanta's
gone.
made by. Oh, okay, fine. You should see what Fanta looks like in America. Any American viewers out there, your Fanta is too orange. It looks like
It's meant to be yellow.
cleaning fluid. I don't know. Anyway, back to the film. For me, the flashbacks. Maybe it's just because I wasn't prepared for them, but I was like, I don't really like care about these because there hadn't
Yeah.
really been many flashbacks before. I just assumed the way he was speaking, like he was gonna say, "Oh, I'm not perfect. I did some bad things in the past." I thought he was just gonna describe what he did because that seemed to be how the film worked. But then suddenly we get like a really long flashback sequence, and I mean the
Yeah.
flashback sequence on its own is really good. You know, there's some
Mhm.
good drama in it, and also the actor of the young Jorge is really good. But
I think
I don't know, it just felt a bit weird.
there's a few scenes where there wasn't like an extended flashback, but I think maybe when Benedict was playing the piano with Francis, there was just like a few flashes to past memories that it evoked in some way. And also, like when they were hugging at the end before he left, it sort of reminded them of earlier things. I think that was more effective than just having a really long sequence because I sort of
Yeah.
lost interest in that.
Yeah,
And
it
seeing
felt...
the candle and stuff, they did really well at symbolism.
Yeah.
You know, with the candle and wide
black and
shots when they're
white.
together. And well, I think black and white. I think that's actually what they wear. But it
Yeah.
also does show the difference between them because they could have had him not wearing his cardinal outfit. You know, you don't really know. So it did really well at that, and there are actually some good shots as well as just the
Office
weird
ones.
office parts. So that's why I feel like we're more annoyed.
Yeah.
So
It just stood out.
yeah,
I mean, I'll just say one thing about the flashback sequence, and then we'll maybe try to get back to some good things. It kind of reminded me of. Do you remember in Heavy Metal when we were watching it, and that last
yeah,
shot
went on for
just
ages.
dragged on, and you just sort of lost interest and weren't really invested. That's kind of
Yeah.
what it felt like to me. I was just like, well, not that I wasn't invested because obviously it ties into the rest of the film, but you know, just get to the point.
Yeah,
Which was annoying because the rest of the film, even though it's obviously got quite um a very significant and important subject line, it sort of was quite easy to watch in a weird way.
Yeah,
Then flashback did drag because it was so different to the rest of the film.
yeah. I know what you mean. It did feel like the real-time stuff was faster paced, but I guess that's because the flashback sequence technically just halts time for however long it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was actually surprised how enjoyable it was just seeing those two like chat and interact.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, there's no real goal to the, for the end, for the plot. So I'd kind of, I mean, there is a bit of a goal, so I'd kind of liken it to Marriage Story, where that obviously the goal of that is for the divorce, but it's not really something that you have to go on a quest for or anything.
Yeah.
And the goal of this is the kind of resignation of, well, it kind of flips which one is going to resign.
There's also, yeah.
So I quite like the pacing and plot of it in terms of the real life scenes. Obviously, the conversations don't get as awkward and tense as in Marriage Story, but there's still some kind of contention and conflict between them, but it's more supportive because they both want each other to keep doing what they're doing and not give up in a way.
Yeah. I thought it was also quite nice that the plot didn't really need you to think a lot about it. You just kind of had to take in what was happening. Which, in a way, is kind of a nice break from some of the other films we've been watching, like It Couldn't Happen Here, or I guess like Stalker or something. I'm gonna forget Kangaroo Jack. But yeah, it was just sort of chill to watch them just talk and discuss different ideologies, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of vibey. It's a nice, like, gentle film.
Yeah.
It's like a
I'd
modern
say.
twist on something that you could also make into more of a traditional film.
Yeah.
I guess that represents Francis bringing in more permissive views to the church.
It was good that it didn't feel like Hollywood, and I enjoyed it a bit more than some of the writers' other stuff. So, the writer of this, Anthony McCarten, has written quite a few biographies. So he did The Theory of Everything, he did Bohemian Rhapsody, and he did Darkest Hour. Those are like the big three. And it just, I don't know. I think they're all pretty good. Obviously, Bohemian Rhapsody has some terrible editing, and kind of makes everything have a bit of a glossy touch on what actually happened. Darkest Hour is pretty enjoyable, but this just feels a bit different to the Bohemian Rhapsody and The Theory of Everything. It has that more indie feel, but that could just be because I'm watching it not in a cinema.
It didn't.
I don't know.
It didn't feel like it was one of those like high budget movies, and well, I'm sure they obviously had a high budget if they were able to get like Anthony Hopkins in it.
Oh yeah, whose agent got them to change the name of the film. I don't know why, because he is like the main pope.
Yeah. But it just didn't feel like you were being bombarded. Your senses were being bombarded by lots of different effects, and that doesn't necessarily. When I say effects, that doesn't mean like special effects. Just it just felt like there was a couple actors, sound guy, and a camera.
Might be
there
to
was
do
that
the fact
dodgy
that...
CGI.
Yeah,
of St. Peter's Square, but
that was dodgy. I'm glad it kept out of pretty much the rest of the film.
Probably due also to the fact that it's more of a lesser told story than like Churchill or Queen or Stephen Hawking. So I don't know. It just had more of, well, not indie, but less blockbuster than those, I guess.
Yeah, maybe it was just more interesting because I hadn't known about it before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it had a 40
for me at least.
Yeah, it had a $40 million budget, so that's fairly small for big films nowadays in these times. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
See, the writing's always good. It didn't seem like he did much. Well, it said he did a lot of research, but he couldn't really consult anyone on the subject matter. I'm not sure if Pope Francis would agree to just chatting with some random writer about his entire life.
Yeah.
Should we talk about some controversy?
Ooh, let's go.
Ooh.
That controversial scene.
So in one scene, Pope Benedict is having a confession with soon-to-be Pope Francis, and he brings up I never found out how you supposed to pronounce the name. It looks like Marcial. So he kind of mentions him, and then the audio fades out, and the visuals keep going. And it basically suggests this is the guy that was, he had a sex abuse scandal, and basically he sexually assaulted and abused children. So pretty bad stuff. So it kind of suggests that Pope Benedict knew about it before letting him go. But some publications saying that it wasn't like that didn't happen. But others also disagree. So basically, the confession didn't actually happen, or probably didn't happen. But people aren't sure on whether Pope Benedict was responsible. I mean, he was the Pope, but anyway, it was a controversial scene.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting. Love some film controversies. Yeah.
Well, like the line where he says that's a heavy burden lifted off my shoulders, and then he says like, "Well, that's a burden on mine now."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Directing the blame away from himself could be seen as quite cynical, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the part of that scene, he didn't really seem like assuming that like it was his fault. He didn't really seem that like he didn't really seem like he was like repenting. He just was sort of confessing his sins and leaving it at that. Like he said like, I asked for forgiveness, Father, but apart from that, he didn't show much remorse.
Yeah.
I think
it kind of lets you make your mind up on the popes. I mean, obviously, Francis is supposed to be shown fairly well, but it doesn't kind of say he's good, and Pope Benedict is shown to be more complicated. So obviously, at the start, he's kind of the antagonist, and then you grow to know him. But I don't think I don't think you're supposed to think that he's kind of, he seems bad, but actually he's really good. It is actually showing, lets you make your mind up on it, which is always a nice thing for a film to do. Which maybe that's kind of why it separates it from the other three big uns, because they're all kind of, it's like, Stephen Hawking good, Freddie Mercury good, Winston Churchill good. So that's nice, I suppose.
Well, I think that was good because although thing says like he resigned because of his age and like deteriorating health, there's obviously a sense of guilt involved in the fact that he no longer wants to be the Pope, and a lot of people are sort of accusing him of making a mess of it or whatever, and he's always got that at the back of his mind. You can see like the effects that that's having, but it's never actually made clear to what extent he was involved. So it's sort of left up to the viewer.
I think it's actually quite like an accessible film. I hear some people sound like they're either worried that like if you're an atheist or even if you're a Christian that you won't enjoy it, but I don't think that it matters on what your religious beliefs are, which I didn't really expect when I went in anyway. On how if you can enjoy it. I think it's just a well-made film, and you can make your own ideas on it, and it just kind of shows things as they are. So it's not, it doesn't make a statement on it. It kind of lets you decide for you. You could say that that's like a coward's way out, not making a decision on stuff, but
you don't have to be a Christian to appreciate some of the religious symbolism and conflicts in it, but
yeah,
at the heart of the film is it's more about sort of the relationship between these two people.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
Like the religion, sort of just the backdrop to that.
yeah. I
Mm,
would agree.
I would also agree.
Apparently, Jonathan
else
Price
is
has
there?
said that people, when Pope Francis was declared Pope, the internet was full of images of them both saying, "Is Jonathan Price the Pope?" Even his son texted, "Daddy, the Pope." I guess that's why he was cast. I didn't really think they looked the same, but I guess other people think
Sort of
differently.
do in a weird way.
They kind
Yeah.
of do, except that he wore glasses the whole film, and then there was some like real life footage spliced in there, and the real life footage he wasn't. That was like the main thing.
Yeah.
Does Jonathan Price even wear glasses? Now you got me confused on why they're wearing glasses.
Does
Does he
2020
have
vision.
to wear glasses? He does wear glasses. It's okay.
That is cool.
They did some interesting set stuff. So I mean, we mentioned the kind of bad CG recreation
Oh, yeah.
of the square.
Yeah.
I'm sure I put it in here, and in our research bit. Anyway, they built a recreation of the Sistine Chapel, and they used some weird like tattoo process. It said they tattooed the walls.
How do you tattoo
Um,
So that
walls?
explain the fact that it was an inch smaller.
Yes,
Mm.
no, it was an inch or two
From what I saw,
bigger than
Oh.
the actual one.
I thought
Oh,
it looked
did you think it
about an
looked
inch
smaller?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, because you
Only
know
like
you really studied the.
An inch or that.
Does it? I can't find it now. I'm not going to be able to find it now. Oh no, okay, they built it in a studio during an 8-week period.
Wow.
Yeah, the company produced a tattoo of the walls and ceiling. The ink from the tattoo is absorbed in the plaster, so we get all the texture and vibrancy. There you go.
Wild.
Just to appreciate other things in films, don't only talk about directors, writers, and actors.
That
Good
is
old
true.
set designers.
Set designers.
Maybe not the CG people here, but
Oh, yeah.
Costume designers.
in other films, CG people.
Or practical
You
effects
also
people.
say that
Yeah.
you say that like the voting at the start that actually took like 2 days and
Oh no, that was the voting at the end, which
all right.
makes it look like he was just instantly voted
Yeah.
as Pope.
Well,
But
yeah.
there were 5 ballots taken,
Mm.
and it was on the second day that he was made Pope. So
I
it
just
does
presume
actually
you
take
meant
really long because I think they do like read out everyone's individual vote, and then when they've had a vote, they kind of all go around because they have to get those 77 votes in the film, which I can't remember if that's just a majority or if that's like unanimous. Or almost unanimous.
looks like unanimous from
it's
the
a
amount of people there.
it is a really large amount of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
That's interesting that they changed it to make it look like he won really easily. But I guess
Yeah.
they want to just it would sort of get a bit repetitive if they did the whole anticipating the result again.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, Pope Benedict was actually elected on the second day as well, after 4 ballots.
Ooh.
So there you go. I mean, it must take them ages to do the ballots.
Yeah.
And that white smoke and black smoke stuff. I mean, obviously it's tradition, but it's appeared in Angels and Demons, which I'd seen, which was the sequel to the Da Vinci Code. I don't know. It's okay. So yeah, I knew a bit about it.
Nice.
It's quite good at the end where Francis is like refusing to put on the additional clothes and stuff. And he's sort of denying any of the systems put in place in the church. It does show that contrast between him and Benedict.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then you have the last scene of them watching the World Cup.
Yeah, that was
which
kind of.
I think it says happened. Not sure.
It was kind of nice to watch, though. It was like, I don't know, it's not. It's sort of portraying the popes as like the same as the rest of the common people.
Yeah.
Well, they're just like watching football with like as the Americans would say, a soda. And it came like right after there was a montage of like newscasts and reporters, and one of them was saying like something about that it might having Francis as the Pope might help break the divide between what happens in the Vatican and the rest of like the normal Catholic believers. And straight after that, there's like the scene of them both watching football, which I guess is kind of symbolic as to the changes and the approach that Francis is taking as a pope.
Mm.
Yeah.
By the way, it's a 2/3 majority needed if you were interested.
Nice.
So there you go.
So many language changes in this film, though. It was weird.
Yeah, I remarked that, especially if you're like Anthony Hopkins or someone like
Yeah.
the amount of like unless you're like fluent in all of those or like most of those languages, that would be those lines would be really difficult to do.
Yeah, and
Also,
have
piano.
to act as well.
Yeah,
and
on
play
top
the
of
piano.
that.
We don't know
they
whether
both
he
did really
can or
well.
not.
I mean,
I
I'm just
think-
impressed that like Jonathan Pryce as well managed to speak English with a Spanish accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
It
nationality is
must
he?
be difficult.
I think he's British.
Oh gosh.
Let me see. He's from North Wales. There
Damn.
you go.
The thing with Anthony Hopkins is he sort of has this aura of almost omniscience in a way, because he's in Westworld and sort of like that. I think there might be a scene in Westworld where he plays piano, but I just sort of
Yeah.
assume that he can do all these things, even though
Yeah.
He's
probably can't.
Anthony Hopkins was also born in Wales, so 2 Welsh popes.
They speak Welsh.
Can he speak Welsh? Oh, that
You
would
should
be
have been talking in Welsh.
impressive. He should have been talking Welsh, yeah. I should mention that originally it was actually a play, which it was adapted from a play written by the same writer,
Yeah.
which actually, that was called The Pope, which the screenplay was also called The Pope, but Anthony Hopkins' agent wanted to change it to The Two Popes, so they did.
Also
But
makes it a bit easier to find on Google.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Does sound better, I think.
Yeah, the Pope, the play actually premiered in the same year as the film came out, so I wonder if he wrote the two like at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it'd be a fairly good stage show as well, because mainly just two people chatting.
Yeah, you wouldn't need a lot of effects.
Yeah.
The stage show wouldn't need the awful CGI. Well, should
Guess
we?
I could have done something where like have the two popes speaking to a side with like the flashback scenes, and then concurrently you also have it playing out on the stage. Maybe that's how it was meant to be designed.
Yeah,
I think the
I can
fact that they
imagine
just
that.
showed the solid block of flashbacks.
Yeah.
It wasn't as effective.
I can see that.
Mm.
Oh, and I can really see it. Oh yes, that would be a lot better. Can we go watch
Yeah.
the stage show?
I wonder if there's a recording of it online somewhere. We could do our first play for Entertainment of Excellence.
Ooh.
Actually, I
Episode
was wondering what
23,
would come up
The Pope.
if you type in the Pope. What would come up?
It's just gonna be
The
Francis.
first, thing
Be
that's
the
the
Pope.
first thing that's come up for me is the 1991 film The Pope Must Die. Uh, oh, sorry. The US Canadian alternative title is The Pope Must Diet. Okay, interesting.
Cool.
So yeah, maybe it wouldn't have
There you go.
too many problems.
Nice.
If you ever forget who the Pope is and you look it up, then you should get the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Cool.
film The Pope Must Die.
The Pope must die. The Pope must diet. Must
I
stop
think
having
they
those
actually-
Fantas.
Because it was US and Canada, I wonder if it was like the government wouldn't have allowed it to release. I don't know. Anyway.
Cool. Should we wrap it up and give our ratings?
Yeah, because it's actually gone. It's flown by how much we've talked about it.
Yeah,
Just like the film usually went very fast, apart from
the flashbacks.
when it didn't. Yeah.
How long have
Hmm.
we been going?
40
minutes.
Ooh.
I know.
Mm.
Shall I go first then?
Yeah, let's have a little wrap up.
Cool. Well, I enjoyed the film. It was as I said, it's a sort of relaxing watch. You don't require a great deal of concentration to enjoy what's happening. And the biggest thing that I didn't like was the flashback being a solid block, and yeah, as we've made very clear, that was probably one of the worst parts of the film. Other than that, I can't really explain why, but I don't think it was like amazing, and it's not through any fault the film has. I just think like I enjoyed it, but like I wouldn't say it was like great or excellent or something. So I'm just gonna pull up the list of ratings.
I know what you mean. It kind of a lot of McCarten's films kind of feel like that. You're like, yeah, that was good.
Well, I think from the things that you said there, it's quite interesting because, first of all, I wouldn't necessarily expect that this would be that easy of a film to watch. And
Yeah,
just the fact that it was so, well, at times comedic, but even the more serious bits sort of just were really engaging and quite light-hearted. And also, I think the flashback wasn't necessarily bad, but I think both parts of the films with both different tones would have worked well individually. Just the combination of two was quite jarring. It was just a sudden flip from comedy to quite intense drama.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm just trying to think of what I want to rate it, and I'm actually checking on the Entertainment of Excellence website, entertainmentofexcellence.weebly.com.
Yeah,
The all rating order, but now I'm even checking what I individually rated each film, because I know that some of them are a lot further down than I rated them, so I don't
yeah,
want
because
to.
you're the bloody good
I'm
cop.
So like, I didn't like it as much as Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, but that's way further down than I would have put it. And same with Good Time. But
I'm gonna go 6.9 because that's a great number.
Ooh, okay. I was gonna go maybe 7.1.
Ooh,
It's not that big a difference.
I know.
we really need to
You react
pinpoint
to
it
Ben's
down.
rank is like, oh my god.
Oh no,
It
you
was
could have
lower,
put it
then
that
he was
low.
like,
Oh,
2.
I heard the 6 and I was like,
just like
I'm
yeah.
gonna go 7.2. I'll be the nice guy for once.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. I think I just wish it had. because obviously it was gentle, but that's kind of weird, seeing as it was discussing like the sex abuse scandal, and you're like, why wasn't that really like distressing? Anyway,
Yeah.
so I mean, maybe it should have been a bit more forceful with its topics, but yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
What's
That's
the
the
average
problem.
there?
It's our first
Yeah.
round about 7.1. So just under
Ooh.
good time and just above heavy metal.
Yeah, we're closing the gaps between the lower rated ones,
We might need to go to 2 decimal places at some point.
which we've semi done.
Yeah, I don't know why we've done it for 0.25.
I think it's just because it's a nice number.
It is a nice number.
Because it was exactly 7.25. I don't know.
I feel bad for heavy metal because it's on the verge of being in the terrible films.
Yeah, I know.
No,
It wasn't
Quite
really.
far down
okay.
from this.
Well, it's because our median rating is 7.3, so we're skewed slightly towards the more positive end.
Yeah.
I think. Okay,
It's
I
'cause we
think
choose films we want to watch.
yeah, it's mainly films
Yeah.
we want to watch. However, you can help us close that gap if you send us in films that you would like us to watch, which we may or may not necessarily enjoy. So please
Yes.
please get in touch. You can do it via the entertainmentofexcellence.weebly.com website, or you can follow us on Instagram or Twitter at ELV Podcast and message us there, or just reply into a YouTube comment. However you want to get in touch, we'll at this point we're quite small, so if you recommend something, we'll definitely do it.
Yeah.
Who
And
knows?
also, please do, because the 2 films that we've been recommended were Stalker, which is definitely a really important film to watch, and Robot Monster.
Robot Monster.
That's also important.
Well, I mean,
it's also a great film to watch.
well, I mean, Custard
So,
Kong did
yeah.
recommend us 2 other films like Robot Monster.
Oh no, I don't know if I'm ready.
Yeah, so go to the entertainmentofexcellence.weebly.com site. You can do the contact us button.
You can. That is a button you can press.
Yeah. So while we're on a roll of promotion, we don't have any well, we do have one submission that we are holding off for a little bit because it might be that our 25th episode, which we're planning to do something special for, may be quite short. So we're holding off the submission for that. But if you are a creator of any kind of entertainment media, if that's a short film or music or I guess you could do a play if you're a playwright.
Yeah. Do you
Oh.
think that some Shakespeare's are gonna come back?
Yeah, obviously.
I think you should watch my play. It's called Macbeth. It's pretty good.
Are you saying Shakespeare wouldn't be an Entertainment of Excellence fan?
I hope he would be.
Oh, he obviously
Thanks
would
for
be.
the subscription, Shakespeare. Hit like and the notification bell.
Slam that notification bell. Yeah, if you create stuff, just send it in via the same methods we've said before. You know, we'd love to
Yes.
feature you. We'll dedicate around about a 10-minute segment to give you constructive criticism and also say what we liked about it, because we don't want you to feel sad.
Yes. Shall we now move on to recommendations?
We shall.
Let's do it.
I'm slightly worried. I recommended this before, so please stop me. But
Stop.
because I thought I
Stop.
didn't know if I recommended it last week because I felt like I should have done.
Or maybe
But-
you should check the recommendations master list, which is given to you upon
Oh,
subscription
that's
to
a
our
promotion.
mailing list at entertainmentofexcellence.weebly.com. Subscribe now.
I can control F on it. In fact, there you go. Let's have a look. No, oh, it's not on there. Okay, cool.
Well, you're free
So,
to go.
I watched the film Seven Psychopaths, which is cool. It's a comedy crime action kind of film about a screenwriter writing a screenplay called Seven Psychopaths, and he kind of meets the psychopaths while he's writing it, and lots of, hijinks ensue. It's got a really good cast. It's, it's got Colin Farrell, Sam Rockwell, Christopher Walken in a film that isn't Kangaroo Jack.
Imagine.
and he's still he's a bit of a psychopath. It's also got Woody Harrelson as well. But it's by the writer-director Martin McDonagh, who I absolutely love his films. Well, when I say he's only made, okay, so he's got 5 directing credits, except one of them is an untitled credit and one of them is a short. So I have seen all 3 of his films now, which he's directed, which is In Bruges, which is his debut, which is another fantastic film about 2 hitmen that get sent to Bruges where nothing happens because they're supposed to lay low, and Colin Farrell's in that as well, and he kind of gets a bit bored. That's a brilliant film to watch. And the other one is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which was
that's a good film.
nominated for Best Picture. And yeah, I think that was my favourite. Well, I can't say that I didn't see them all, but I went to see that in the cinema, and it was very good. So if you like any of them, if you like In Bruges or 3 Billboards, watch 7 Psychopaths. I would say it's not as good as the other 2, but it's still definitely worth a watch. And also you get to see Martin McDonagh kind of comment on the filmmaking process. It's kind of meta, but not in an explicit way. So there you go. Watch it.
Groovy.
Nice. Do you
Well,
have anything, Ben?
I actually do for the first time in a month.
Let's go.
Yeah.
What are you on about? You did Kangaroo Jack Good Day USA last week.
Okay. The only downside is it's not very exciting, and a lot of people may have already heard. I'm doing a couple in one go because we've mentioned them on the podcast before, but it's pretty much the only things I've been watching. I'm saving something for next week. So Marvel did quite a few TV series for Netflix, and I've been going through them in sort of semi-chronological order because they cross over at times. So
I started doing that and gave up.
yeah.
I've been planning to do that for about 2 years and watch 1 season of Daredevil.
Yeah, I've watched 1 season of 1.5 seasons of Daredevil actually, because I'm on the 2nd season.
Ooh.
And the 1st season of Jessica Jones.
Oh, you're gonna do what I did. I watched Daredevil season 1, then Jessica Jones season 1 because I was gonna do it in chronological order. Then I just watched seasons 2 and 3 of Daredevil because I gave up.
I ended up doing the same, but with Jessica Jones.
Oh right.
But I'm still going with Daredevil. So
Go on then. Daredevil is the best one.
yeah, I'd say Jessica
I
Jones
watched
is
The Punisher as well. So
yeah,
just so
Jessica
that people
Jones is
know.
good, but I'd say the first
Iron
season's the
Fist.
best. I haven't seen Iron Fist yet. Apparently, that's
That's
really
supposed to
not
be
as
rubbish.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
Daredevil season 3 is amazing.
yeah.
So watch it.
I really did like Daredevil season 1, but for some reason it took me 6 months to watch.
I watched it in 2
Watching other
days.
stuff in between.
I just binged it. Yeah.
We were just interrupting you. Go on.
Yeah. Thanks. No, it
'cause
means
we
I have
like
to
it.
talk less. I'm great with that. No. But I'd say Jessica Jones and Daredevil. Daredevil's the better of the 2, but Jessica Jones is still great, and it has David Tennant as the villain and Kilgrave, and he's perfect for that role. He's he still has those sort of mannerisms he used for when he was doing the Doctor, for example, in Doctor Who, but he somehow manages to bring this sort of threatening air to his character, and it's really good. And his motivations, when it gets into them, are quite creepy and not disturbing, but less fantasy based and more based in what could genuinely happen. So there's that, and then also Daredevil is great. The villain in that Wilson Fisk is
Oh.
he's such a great villain in that he's like, you can't really hate him because he's had like a really troubled childhood, and also he's like, whilst he's destroying the city, he's having like this sort of nice romantic relationship with someone. And
Trust me,
Yeah, if you've seen
him.
seen he like, Into the Spider-Verse, like Kingpin's the main
yeah,
villain in that, which
I
like a
didn't pick up
different
on
twist on it.
I didn't pick up
Did you
even
not
he was
realise he was
Kingpin.
Kingpin?
But like the first time I saw Kingpin was like the absolute unity is in Into the Spider-Verse. So like, as soon as I realised, I'm glad it was towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kingpin's like the main Daredevil villain. I can't remember if I saw Kingpin in either the Daredevil series first or Daredevil comics first. So it was hilarious seeing him in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's like this comical cube.
Chonker.
What a chunker.
Cool. So, Ollie, do you have anything?
I do.
Wow. That is
It's a
cool.
is this
Full House.
is a rare three
Yeah.
recommendations. Speaking of Netflix stuff,
Ooh.
no, they quite often get criticised for the lack of any good films. But we've like The Two Popes was a Netflix produced film, and so was Marriage Story, which we did a few episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then one that I watched recently, you may well have heard of it. You might have even seen it. It's called Roma.
Oh, that's on my list.
Yeah, so it came out in 2018, and it's basically tells the story of like a middle class domestic worker in the early 1970s in Mexico. She's basically looking after this like rich family, but it's basically set with the backdrop of the family falling apart, as well as the political turmoil in the country at the time, and it's like beautifully shot to the point where it's just subliminally invested the whole time because of the cinematography. It's all in black and white,
I mean, it
and
won
there's
an
quite a
Oscar
lot
for
of
it.
yeah, there's quite a lot of poignant imagery and shots. I know the directors is actually the same director as Children of Men, which Tom
Oh, is
recommended
it? I
at
didn't
one
know
point.
that.
Yeah.
Saucy.
And then he's quite famous for quite long one-shot takes, which can last a couple of minutes or whatever. And it's definitely used very effectively in this.
Oh, yeah, he
Uh,
directed Gravity as well.
yeah. But it basically tells
I
the
wrote it.
story of this woman who is so devoted to this family, and it causes this sort of conflict when she herself becomes pregnant. And I won't spoil anything, but it tells the story of the progression throughout a year, and it's just it's just such a beautiful film that I can see why it was nominated for so many awards and stuff. A lot of people say it's the best film of 2018.
It was nominated for Best Picture.
Did it
Yeah.
not
And
win?
Best Foreign Language Film. But it
It's
did not
all
win
in
Best Picture.
Spanish,
Yeah,
so there you go.
cool.
Groovy.
I'll definitely watch it at some point.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Could be something
Another
we
good
do.
Netflix film is Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I think we mentioned it before. That's a good Netflix film. So there's some
Yeah,
good
that
Netflix films.
that was
Also,
2018 as well. I
On
think.
another note, The Kissing Booth 2 came out, so there's also bad Netflix films and, Tall Girl and all that, but
Tall girl.
there's some good ones if you look.
I mean, I saw Extraction with
Oh, that's supposed to be
Chris
alright.
Hemsworth. That was decent. It was like a less good version of John Wick. There
Yeah.
was I haven't watched it, but there's this relatively new film called Project Power, which has quite an interesting premise of like take a pill and gain a super power temporarily, but it could be anything. Like it could be destructive, or it could be flying, or you could blow up.
Yeah.
But
Joseph
I don't think
Gordon-Levitt's in it.
don't know if it's getting that well reviewed, but it just sounds quite an interesting.
It's all
premise.
right. I mean, the
Yeah.
one that did come out, which we're probably going to add to our list, is I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which is Charlie Kaufman, who wrote and directed Being John Malkovich.
Groovy.
So I think it'd be quite fitting for us to have that.
Being John Malkovich is our second highest film, so
Yeah, so maybe we should probably watch his new film.
We need to find some more films that go into the 8 category.
Ooh.
Yeah.
At the moment, we've only really got 2. Technically, there's 4, but episodes time that change.
Yeah. So if you have any films that you think are absolutely amazing, then please send us them.
Sorry, he didn't
guess it's
direct
'cause-
Being John Malkovich, but he did
Wrote
write
it.
it.
Yeah, he wrote it.
I think
Myself.
it's quite. We tried to do films that are well received but aren't like really obvious picks, and a lot of the top-rated films are quite obvious things that
Yeah.
we've probably all already seen. So quite difficult to find middle ground.
Yeah. But if you've got anything you want us to see, then you can send it in.
Yeah.
Promotion time.
Yeah.
You can send it
He
in
wrote-
via the contact form on our website, or follow us on Instagram and Twitter at EOV Podcast.
Yes.
So, yeah. Also, it's not just films. If you have like any criticism of the podcast, send us hate mail, please. We need hate mail.
Whoa.
If you want to give us a rating, that would be very much appreciated, because we're still starting out and want to know what we can do better with a positive mental attitude, you know.
Yes.
Cool. Do you have anything else to say?
Don't think so.
No.
Groovy. Well, alright, see ya.
All right.
Right,
see
see ya.
Yeah, that's it.